In 2022, I shut down my six-figure-a-year software consulting business for a full-time job, and that turned out to be the best decision of my life. Not really what you would expect, right? If you dream of running your own tech business one day, the best path forward might not be the one that you think. And that less common path is what I want to talk to you about today. You see, I initially took the path of pursuing my dream of running my own business as soon as I graduated college. Honestly, to me, getting a 9-to-5 job was a failure. But looking back now, and after spending a few years in a full-time job, I don't think I could have been more wrong. I learned some really hard lessons from going down this path, and I want to share a few of those in this video. And if you truly take these to heart, I think they can really help you have a more sustainable and profitable entrepreneurial journey of your own. I also want to share with you what I would do if I was able to go back in time and start over on day one of my entrepreneurial journey. All right, the first hard lesson I learned. You're going to make mistakes. And those mistakes hurt way more when it's in your own business. You know, let's say you're working your full-time job and you fuck something up. You delete a database instance or push something to prod that causes an infinite loop. Whatever it is, it's almost expected from you at that low-level job because they want to set you up for a space to make mistakes and learn from them. You might upset a few customers of the company you work for, and your coworkers will probably laugh at you for being the new guy. But at the end of the day, you live and learn, and someone is there to help you fix it, and fix it the right way. Now let's contrast this to you're running your own business. You make the same exact mistake, but now you're the only one that's on the hook to fix it. And since you probably don't have anyone else around, you might not even learn the proper way to fix it. Pretty much everything you do is trial and error on your own terms. And that client that you made that mistake for, they're pissed at you and your reputation starts to diminish. All of a sudden, your chances of securing a contract extension, a referral, or just a testimonial from this client just goes out the window. So yeah, it's the same mistake, but you're losing revenue for your business. And now you have to spend extra time trying to find a client to fill the gap in the one that you just lost. The stakes are so much higher, and they really can take a toll on you whether you realize it or not. So my key here is to be humble and realize that when you're young, you're going to make mistakes. And it's much better to make those mistakes when you're working for someone else than it is when you're running your own business. You want to take those lessons you learn into your business and not while you're already running it. There was this one time when I was working for a client, it was like roughly when I was just starting right out of college, and I saw this new flashy way to build websites. I had no clue what I was doing. So I made like a pretty terrible architectural decision, and it just turned into a nightmare. It completely killed the project. I got fired from it, and yeah, like I lost revenue for a few months, and it's pretty devastating when that's what's happening straight out of college for you. Which leads into the next lesson I learned. Running a poorly executed business will make you work nonstop. And now this was something that really threw me for a loop once I started to realize it. When I was working for myself full-time, I was like, wow, I have, the whole day for myself. I can get so much done, and my chances of building something successful are extremely high. But I had yet to learn a really key lesson, which was that there's a big difference between working in your business and working on your business. So as my project started to grow in scope and I got closer to that six-figure mark, I pretty much became all consumed in just outputting for the client work that I was already doing. I had no more time to search for new clients or just do the administrative tasks that came with running a business. My only option was to work more and more. So it became a really vicious cycle of just having to add more and more hours to the stuff that I was already doing. I started to stretch myself way too thin, and it really felt like time was working against me rather than for me, and I essentially became trapped in my own creation. Eventually, I just completely burned out. So at my lowest point in 2022, I decided I really had no other choice but to shut down my business and search for something else. I craved that stability in my life, so I decided a full-time job was what I was going to pursue. I still had that entrepreneurial mindset deep inside me, but I needed to take a break from that grind in order to make any real progress in the future on it. For some reason, I just didn't think I was going to learn anything from a full-time job that would translate to running a business. I don't know what it was. I guess it was just like arrogance or something. I don't know. But I just thought there was no value from it, and this was going to be a complete waste of time. All I just needed was stability, and that's what I thought I would get out of it. But once I did land that first full-time job, I started to come to the realization that I was completely wrong in that initial assumption. There was so much to learn, and I started to observe and reflect how I could take some of these processes that were working within the companies I was at into something that I wanted to build in the future. I was learning things like process improvement, how effective teams work, how to ship a product to thousands of people that's essentially bug-free, and just how to launch a product from 0 to 1. I also learned about things that hold companies back, like decision fatigue or not listening to enough customers when building a product. I was learning so much and gaining real-world experience on how successful companies execute. All of this stuff was things that I could bring over to my own business one day. And this was just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what I would get out of a full-time job. The next thing I started to realize was that I had so much time to work on my business. My full-time job was giving me stable income to pay my bills, and I no longer had to worry about all of the work that would have to go into just for securing income to pay my next month's rent. I quickly went from working 8 to 10 hours minimum within my business to only having to work a maximum of 8 hours in my job. And honestly, sometimes even less hours than that. And there was something else hidden within that. The quality of those hours were drastically different. When you're in a full-time job, the day-to-day can become very repetitive, but you can use that to your advantage. You can get really good at doing that day-to-day so that it almost becomes autopilot, and the mental load for completing the work you need to do becomes less and less. This offloading of mental energy is a really big bonus for when it does come time to work on your business, and you now have the creativity needed to do so. When I was all in on my business, I would maybe get 1 to 2 hours that were really sloppy when it came to working on my business, because I was just drained from all of the client work and communication I had to do throughout each day. But now, as I was working in my full-time job, I had 2, 3, and sometimes even 4 hours a day that were really high quality because I felt energized and I didn't feel mentally drained from just the day's worth of work. The difference was honestly night and day. Something else that I started to realize was that I had a stable fixed income from my job, which meant I had full experimentation when it came to my business. I could try new things and I didn't have to worry about just making money. This was a big payoff because now I was feeling creative in my business again, and it gave me opportunity to try new things, like exactly this YouTube channel. There's also no real downside to just skipping a few days from working on my business because, again, there's nothing tying me to having to make this work. I could just work on it when I wanted. And this really helped with healing the burnout I was feeling from earlier in the year. And the last unexpected benefit I want to talk about is the network that my job was able to help me build. I've gained lifelong friends and also met other entrepreneurial coworkers that are building their own businesses outside of their job. I've even met potential co-founders for ideas I want to pursue, and just overall have built up an awesome support network of people that just want to help me succeed. This is honestly stuff I never thought would happen from just getting a full-time job. So if I were to go back to day one and start my journey all over again, instead of pursuing a business and going all in on it, I would instead do what I'm doing now. I would find a full-time job to support my early side hustles. The key here is to think of this job as seed money for building a business that you love. Use it as a learning opportunity to try new things in a more forgiving environment and really level up your skills. But you never want to lose sight of your entrepreneurial mindset. You want to set yourself up for success with a job and a routine that lets you maximize the amount of time you can work on your business. You don't want to get sucked into the rat race of your full-time job. Remember, this is all about just supporting the business you want to build. It's that seed money to get that idea off the ground. And if you follow this path, eventually you'll hit a tipping point where your business will start to earn more than your full-time job. And at that point, you can finally quit your 9 to 5. But until then, use that full-time job to your benefit so that you don't end up in a situation like I did back in 2022. Thanks for watching, and until next time, peace. Subscribe for more and click the little bell to be notified about my next video.